Welcome to another great episode of Real Estate Straight, No Chaser, where I give it to you straight. This week, or today, I have advertised that I'm going to tell you the 3 secrets exposed to why people don't own. Well, after I started preparing for this episode, there's no way I can do it justice by just trying to cram this into one episode. So this time we're going to have a series, and I'm going to go through each of the secrets or each of the reasons in detail for you to understand them. You know, I've been doing this 20 years, and I started off as a lender, and then I got my real estate license, and I've been doing it full time ever since. And so I wish someone would have explained it to me the way I'm getting ready to explain it to you. That way, when you apply for your own mortgage, or if you have a mortgage and you're trying to refinance, or you're trying to sell your property and get another property, it'll make sense to you why they're asking for this and that. So let's start off with reason number 1 why people don't own their own home. Money. And I'm gonna need your imagination again to work with me so you can understand how I'm getting ready to break this down. Money is a very valid reason why people don't own a home. But let's look at it from a lender's perspective more so than a borrower's perspective. Most loans for first-time home buyers, they're putting down roughly about 3.5% down. So just to keep it simple, if you're looking at a $100,000 house, that would be either $3,000 or $3,500. That's if you're a borrower. That's how much you're putting down. So if you're a lender, you're lending out either $97,000 of the $100,000 they need, or $96,500. But we're going to keep this simple because I don't want to do too much math live. So we're going to just keep the numbers simple. So let's say you're the lender. So somebody you don't know from a can of paint, wants you to give them $100,000. And what they're going to put up on their end is $3,000. And they're going to take 30 years to give you the rest of your $97,000. So when it's your money, you're going to see how things start to change if it's your money, if you're thinking as a lender, how your perspective changes and how you're going to adjust to that. Okay. What lenders are going to ask for, and keep in mind now, we're the role of the lenders this time. This week, we're playing the lender and not the borrower. So this week, like I said, we're playing the lender. We're going to ask this person that wants this money from us, this stranger, they're going to have to qualify for your money. Because that's the only way. You need to take a calculated risk. Because anytime you lend anybody money, it was your brother, cousin, friend, you're going to take a calculated risk on whether or not they're going to pay you back your money. So when you take a calculated risk, you need to make sure you get your calculations as close to correct as possible if you got this much money on the line. Alrighty, so we're going to ask for pay stubs. 30 days worth of pay stubs on all jobs. And why we're going to ask for all jobs, let's just say they have, 3 jobs. They may work somewhere full-time and they may drive Uber part-time. So let's say they've only been driving Uber for 6 months. Well, guess what? You can't count that income. You need 2 years on any part-time job to have it counted as income when it comes to lending purposes. Okay? Then we're going to ask for 2 years worth of your taxes. 2 years of your W-2s or 1099s. Let me tell you the difference. A W-2, your taxes are taken out by your employer, or your W-2 employee. If you're 1099, we're leaving it up to you to pay your own taxes. And we're not even going to go down that road. And the reason why we're going to look at your 1099s and your W-2s is because we're trying to gauge what you're making to, like I said, once again, we're making a calculated risk on a stranger. We want 2 years of your federal tax returns, all pages, all schedules. We need it all. So if you're W-2'd and you start writing off crazy stuff, true story, I had one of my past clients wrote off some cows on his taxes. And he had a W-2 job. So of course we had to wait another year for him to get approved because he had to not file the following year and take them cows off his taxes. So we look at all schedules. So, if you're writing off something crazy, and you're trying to get a loan, okay, this is where the rubber's getting ready to meet the road. Alrighty, if you're if you're 1099, where you pay your own taxes, well, most people are not going to volunteer to pay extra money to the government on their taxes. So you may make a whole lot of money, but in the taxes' eyes, you're living like a squatter. I understand. Because, it's natural to want to keep the most of your money in your own pocket. I get it. But that's going to come back to bite you when you're trying to get a house, because we're going to do an average of 2 years. So let's say you're making $100,000 a year, but you've got a great tax preparer, and they got you down to $20,000 a year, because that's all your write-offs. So we're going to give you an average of $20,000 as income. So that's where a lot of self-employed borrowers get caught up because of their taxes. They're not showing they're making a lot of money. I get it. Like I said, we're in the hat of the lender now. All right. Next thing we're going to check is your asset information. We're going to want your most current checking, saving, 401k, and we're going to want all pages. Even if they're blank, you need to see them all. Why? Let's say you're bouncing checks left and right. Would you lend somebody more money when they're not doing right with the money they have? 100 times out of 100 times, so we got a 100% guarantee here, that mortgage payment is going to be more than whatever else they're paying for on their bank statement. So if you got somebody that's not handling their money, that's a bad sign. That's not a good risk. Okay? And let me roll back up the taxes real quick. The main reason why they're checking those taxes is to make sure that you don't owe. If you owe, then that's had to be calculated in your debt to income ratio, and we're going to talk about that a little bit further down the line. And if you have tax problems, well, the tax people trump mortgage people. So when it comes down to getting their money, the IRS is getting their money first and foremost. So that's why we got to make sure that those taxes are done for 2 years straight, 2 current years, and make sure you don't have too many write-offs and crazy stuff on your taxes. All right, so let's roll back to where we were as your assets. All righty, with your 401k statements, some 401k programs, pretty much most of them, will allow you to withdraw your money when it comes down to getting a home. And so that ties all into the money aspect. We want to see how your assets are looking. If you have a bank statement that has bounce checks on it, you do not need to apply for a mortgage that month, or you want to wait until you are managing your finances properly and you don't have any bounce checks on those statements, because that's a red flag to the lender. Alrighty. Also, deposits on your bank statements. They classify large deposits as $500 or more. Okay? So that eliminates mattress money. You got to be able to source any amounts over $500 on your bank statements. The reason for that is, like I said, we don't want you to be doing anything illegal. The laws trump mortgage payments. So if you're doing something criminal, you're going to go to jail and they're not going to get their mortgage payment, which is a bad risk. So that's why we're looking to verify where those deposits are coming from, anything over a $500 amount. Why does so much documentation matter? Now, keep in mind, we're on the lender side here. Documentation matters because we're trying to make a calculated risk with this borrower, with this stranger. So if their money is funny and change is strange, you're gonna have a really hard time justifying getting the money out of somebody's pocket. So they're gonna ask for a lot of stuff because they got more skin in the game from a lender's perspective than the borrower. Somebody lending you $97,000 to your three, you need to check that out. You need to verify you're making a great, or you're trying to make a calculated risk. And the more money they have, the more they're responsible with their money. It kind of eases the underwriter's decision or the lender's decision to lend you money because you're showing yourself responsible. All righty. Debt to income ratios. I'm not going to get into all that on this episode, but with debt to income ratios, they're going to vary by the loan program. So if you have a FHA loan, you have two ratios. You have a front-end ratio and a back-end ratio. And the front-end ratio is your potential mortgage payment over your existing income, and the back-end ratio is your your future mortgage payment, your existing debt divided by your income. So you have a front and back end with FHA. With conventionals, you have one ratio. And whatever ratio that is, that's going to also vary depending on your program. So let's say you're doing FHA and you're doing down payment assistance. So out of the $100,000 that you want to get from this lender, you don't have the 3% or the 3.5% to put in yourself. So the lender's taking all the risk at this point. So when they take all the risk, then of course they're going to tighten their belt about your qualifications. So your ratios will change if you're doing down payment assistance. Okay? Also, the more money you have in the bank or the more money you have in the transaction, it loosens up those ratios. They still have a tipping point, but if you have other factors in place like money in the bank, you're responsible, and you got a good track record with your money, filing your taxes, you're not running from the IRS, you seem like a quality person to take a calculated risk on. Okay, so that's secret number one, why people aren't homeowners: money. And I hope I've done a great job at explaining why those things are looked at differently. And like I said, if you enjoy this video, I encourage you to share it. I look forward to seeing you not next Sunday, but the Sunday after, the first Sunday in August, where I reveal secret number 2 to why people aren't owning their own homes. So we got the money down. Let's deal with the next one on the first Sunday of August. Have a great day. Thank you for watching another great episode of Real Estate Straight No Chaser, and I'll see you soon.